The massive HFY War Council chamber buzzed with excited chatter. Commander Drixall, a tall creature with 6 arms and metallic skin, stood at the center of the room. His red eyes scanned the crowd of alien military leaders. "Brothers of the HFY Empire," he called out. "We have found another primitive world. These beings call themselves humans. They call their planet Earth." The council erupted in harsh laughter. Many officers slammed their clawed hands on the tables. "How primitive?" asked General Urach, leaning forward. His scarred face showed years of conquest. "Very primitive," Drixall answered. "They just learned how to travel faster than light. Their weapons are simple. Their technology is laughable compared to ours." On a large holographic display, images of humans appeared. The aliens laughed harder. The humans looked so small and fragile. They had only 2 arms and no armor plating on their soft skin. "Send them our standard message," Drixall commanded. "Tell them to surrender and join the Empire." The communication officer nodded. Within hours, the HFY ultimatum reached Earth. In Washington, D.C., President Julia Martinez sat in the Oval Office. Her dark eyes narrowed as she read the alien message on her screen. Her advisors stood quietly around her desk. "They want us to surrender," she said calmly. "They say we have 24 hours to decide." "What should we do, Madam President?" asked Secretary of Defense Stephen Clark. President Martinez stood up. She walked to the window and looked out at the city. The American flag waved in the wind. "Prepare our response," she said firmly. "Tell them to come and take it." Back in the HFY Council chamber, they received Earth's response. The translator read it out loud. "Come and take it." Silence fell. Then the entire chamber burst into laughter. Drixall wiped tears from his eyes. "These humans must not understand our power," he chuckled. "Very well, we will show them." At the Pentagon, Admiral Peter Harrison stood in front of a large screen. Military leaders gathered around him. "They laughed at our response," he reported. "The HFY don't understand us at all." "Sir," said Lieutenant Kelly Morrison, studying satellite images, "their scout ships are already scanning our system. They count 47 warships in their advance fleet." "And how many ships can we field?" Admiral Harrison asked. 17, sir. Most are new models, untested in real combat." "Numbers don't mean everything," said General Patricia Hayes. "The HFY have conquered 16 star systems, but they've never faced anyone who refused to surrender." Admiral Harrison nodded. "They see us as weak. That's their first mistake." Far beyond Earth's orbit, HFY Captain Thorin studied the human fleet movements. His tactical officer reported their findings. "The humans are preparing defensive positions around their gas giants," the officer said. "They've also placed weapon platforms in the asteroid belt." "Interesting," Thorin mused. "But it won't be enough." Back on Earth, in a small house in Ohio, Marine Corporal Jim Patterson watched the news with his wife Karen. Their children played on the floor. "They're really coming, aren't they?" Karen asked quietly. Jim tightened his jaw. "Yes, but they don't know who they're messing with." In New York City, Dr. Alan Foster worked late in his laboratory. He looked at the experimental weapon designs on his computer screen. His assistant Lisa Murphy entered the room. "Dr. Foster, the Pentagon approved our project. Operation Prometheus is a go." Foster smiled grimly. "Good. Let's show these aliens what human creativity can do." Across the globe, humanity prepared. People watched the news. Some were scared, some were angry. All were determined. In Tokyo, factory worker Kenji Tanaka reported for special duty. In London, pilot Emma Thompson ran flight simulations. In Sydney, engineer Michael Chen modified satellite systems for military use. The HFY Empire had made their choice. Earth would face invasion. But the HFY had not studied their prey properly. They had not understood one simple truth about humans. When pushed into a corner, humans become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The countdown began. War was coming to Earth. Captain Thorin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devastation. His crew checked systems as they prepared to exit faster than light travel. The Korvac fleet had crossed vast distances in mere hours. "Drop to normal space," Thorin ordered. Stars shifted back into view. Earth's solar system spread before them. Thorin smiled, showing razor-sharp teeth. "Scan the system," he commanded. "Find their defense positions." The tactical officer worked his console. His expression changed quickly from confidence to confusion. "Sir, we're detecting numerous energy signatures. The humans have placed defensive platforms throughout the asteroid belt, also detecting armed satellites around their homeworld." "How many platforms?" Thorin asked. "Initial scan shows 47 platforms, sir. They're widely spaced." Thorin laughed. "Only 47? We have 200 ships. Open fire at maximum range." The Korvac fleet unleashed their weapons. Plasma beams lanced across space. Several human platforms exploded in bright flashes. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Enemy missiles incoming!" shouted the weapons officer. Space lit up with hundreds of human missiles. They didn't target the warships directly. Instead, they exploded between the Korvac vessels, creating deadly clouds of metal fragments. 3. Korvac destroyers lost their shields. The fragments tore into their hulls. One ship lost power and drifted helplessly. "What kind of weapons are these?" Thorin demanded. "They're using kinetic kill vehicles, sir. Simple but effective." Another wave of missiles approached. This time the Korvac point defense systems were ready. Laser turrets shot down most missiles. Some still got through. From the shadows near Jupiter's moon, human frigates appeared. They fired railguns that launched metal slugs at incredible speeds. The slugs punched through Korvac shields that were designed for energy weapons. "Enemy warships decloaking!" the sensors officer yelled. The human fleet emerged from hiding spots throughout the system, 17 ships against 200. The humans charged forward. On the bridge of the UNS Liberty, Captain Marcus Wright gripped his command chair. "All ships engage at will," he ordered. "Target their command ships first." The Liberty led the charge. Human ships moved in ways the Korvac didn't expect. They used thrust vectors to dodge plasma fire. They spun and rolled to absorb hits on reinforced sections. The Korvac opened fire with everything. Space became a light show of destruction. The first human ship, the UNS Phoenix, took multiple hits. Its shields failed. "Phoenix is losing power," reported Communications Officer Lisa Murphy from the Liberty. "They're on a collision course with the enemy flagship." Captain Wright watched in horror and awe as the Phoenix didn't try to change course. Its crew worked to repair engines but not to escape. They accelerated toward the devastation. "By the ancestors," whispered Thorin as he realized what was happening. "They're ramming us." The Phoenix smashed into the devastation's port side. Both ships exploded in a massive fireball. Debris scattered in all directions. 2 more human ships used the same desperate tactic. The UNS Valiant rammed a Korvac cruiser. The UNS Defiant crashed into an enemy carrier. Each act of sacrifice destroyed much larger ships. The remaining human vessels fought with even more fierce determination. They used complex maneuvers the Korvac had never seen. Ships flew in figure-8 patterns to confuse targeting systems. They fired missiles that split into multiple warheads. "Commander, their tactics make no sense," reported the tactical officer to the new Korvac leader. "They waste their ships for minor advantages." "No," the commander realized. "They're not wasting anything. They know they're outnumbered. Every ship they sacrifice takes multiple enemies with them." The battle raged for 3 hours. Human ships fell one by one, but they exacted a terrible price. Every explosion was followed by desperate boarding actions, unexpected weapon modifications, and suicidal maneuvers. Lieutenant Kelly Morrison commanded what remained of the human fleet from the UNS Defender. Only 3 human ships survived. 20 Korvac vessels were destroyed or disabled. "All ships execute Emergency Protocol Omega," she ordered. "Fall back to Earth." The surviving human ships jumped to faster-than-light speed. The Korvac were too damaged to pursue immediately. On the bridge of a surviving Korvac cruiser, Fleet Admiral Vortex examined battle recordings. "Sir," his assistant said nervously, "we lost 1 ship for every human vessel. They had primitive technology, but But nothing, Vortex roared. They nearly destroyed an entire battle group. Begin repairs immediately. And tell the Council we need reinforcements. These humans... He paused, searching for words. These humans are not like the other species we've conquered. The Korvac fleet hung in Earth's orbit, preparing for orbital bombardment. General Zartok stood in the command center of his ground assault ship. His 4 eyes watched the planet below. Begin bombardment, he ordered. Target major cities first. Energy. Beams lanced down from space. Seattle disappeared in a flash of plasma. Tokyo followed. Mexico City burned. The humans should surrender now, said Zartok, second in command. We have destroyed their power centers. But no surrender signal came. General, reported the communications officer, we're detecting movement underground. The humans are retreating into bunkers and tunnels. Zartok's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Fine. Send down the first wave of ground troops. We'll dig them out. 5,000 Korvac warriors descended in drop pods. They landed in what remained of New York City. The streets were empty. Buildings stood as hollow shells. Colonel Ryan Bennett watched from a hidden camera as the aliens searched the ruined streets. He sat in a deep bunker, surrounded by maps and screens. His face hardened as he studied the enemy. Remember your training, he spoke into his radio. Let them spread out. Wait for my signal. The Korvac ground troops, 10 feet tall and heavily armored, moved in formation. They expected sporadic resistance. They found none. Streets remained empty. Buildings showed no signs of life. This is too easy, muttered squad leader Kreth to his unit. The humans have given up already. They couldn't have been more wrong. Bennett waited until the Korvac unit separated. Then he gave the signal. The ground erupted. Hidden explosives detonated under alien feet. Buildings that seemed abandoned collapsed in controlled demolitions. Sewers spat fire and shrapnel. Sergeant Maya Torres led her demolition team through. Underground passages, they moved beneath the alien positions using old subway tunnels and maintenance corridors. Place charges here, here, and here, she commanded. When I say go, blow them all. The Korvac troops above ground suddenly found the street sinking beneath them. Sinkholes opened. Entire squads fell into pit traps lined with sharpened steel bars. From hidden positions in buildings, human snipers opened fire. They used armor-piercing rounds designed for the Korvac's thick hides. Aliens fell, clutching wounds, they thought. Their armor prevented. Corporal James O'Connor coordinated from an old Cold War bunker. His team monitored alien communications they had intercepted and decoded. The Korvac are calling for artillery support, he reported to Bennett. They can't understand our tactics. Bennett smiled grimly. They're trained for conventional warfare. We're not fighting conventionally. The Korvac responded with orbital fire support. Plasma beams carved new canyons in the city ruins. But the humans had already moved. They struck from new positions. In Miami, resistance fighters led by Lieutenant Sarah Blake attacked a Korvac supply depot. They emerged from storm drains at night, hit hard, and vanished. They poisoned water supplies meant for the aliens. They used homemade explosives to destroy equipment. Their hit-and-run tactics are cowardly, complained Zartok after reading battle reports. They won't stand and fight like warriors. His intelligence officer disagreed. Sir, they're adapting their tactics to nullify our advantages. They know they can't win face-to-face battles, so they don't fight them. In Los Angeles, Dr. Patricia Lane worked with other scientists in a hidden laboratory. They had captured Korvac equipment during raids. Now they reverse-engineered alien technology. The plasma rifles work differently than we thought, she explained, to the engineers. We can modify our weapons to penetrate their shields. Above ground, Korvac forces grew frustrated. They controlled the cities, but not the people. Every street corner could hide danger. Every building might contain traps. Food supplies ran short for the occupying forces. Human farmers had destroyed crops. Wells were contaminated. Supply ships from orbit faced constant missile attacks from hidden launchers. At night, the psychological warfare began. Human speakers played recordings of alien soldiers who had died. They broadcasted propaganda in the Korvac language. They used lights and sound to keep troops awake and paranoid. "They're everywhere and nowhere," reported one traumatized Korvac soldier. "We can't find them, but they always find us." Zartok sent reports to the War Council. The humans refuse to surrender. Their resistance grows stronger, not weaker. We need more troops. Deep beneath what was once Los Angeles, Colonel Bennett met with other resistance leaders. Maps covered the walls. Lists of targets filled every screen. "We've lost the surface," acknowledged Commander Nicole Parker from the Houston Resistance. "But we haven't lost the war." "They want Earth," Bennett said. "But they're getting a graveyard. Every street they take costs them. Every building they occupy becomes their tomb." Outside, another Korvac patrol disappeared. The city fell silent again. Somewhere, humans waited in the darkness, planning their next strike. The Korvac learned that conquering Earth meant facing an enemy that refused to play by their rules. An enemy that adapted, improvised, and made every inch of ground a battlefield. Scientist Velrix entered the research facility on the Korvac mothership. The room held several captured humans in containment chambers. He approached Dr. Kathleen Foster, who sat calmly in her cell despite her situation. "You will tell us about human biology," Velrix stated in his translated voice. "We need to understand your species." Dr. Foster smiled. "I'll tell you freely. It might help you survive what's coming." Velrix was surprised. Most prisoners begged or threatened. This human offered information willingly. In the next chamber, they had captured another human, Commander Rachel Blake, a Special Forces officer. She remained silent, watching. "Explain your endurance capabilities," Velrix demanded. "We evolved as persistence hunters," Foster began. "Our ancestors chased prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We sweat to cool our bodies, allowing us to run longer than almost any animal." "Impossible," scoffed Velrix. "You are soft and weak." "Test it," Foster suggested. "Put one of your soldiers and one of mine on treadmills. See who lasts longer." The test was arranged. Korvac warrior Captain Drex stood ready, his muscular frame towering over human test subject Sergeant Nathan Brooks. Both started running. 1 hour passed. The Korvac was breathing hard, 2 hours. Drex stumbled slightly, 3 hours. The Korvac captain collapsed, overheating. Brooks was still running, sweating but steady. "This makes no sense," muttered Velrix. "Your species appears weaker." "Appearances deceive," said Foster. "We're built for endurance, not quick power. In a marathon we win. In a war of attrition, we outlast our enemies." Later, Velrix examined medical data collected from battlefields. The results disturbed him deeply. "How do they keep fighting with such injuries?" he asked his assistant. This human soldier had 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung, and continued, fighting for 20 minutes. "Adrenaline, sir. Their bodies produce powerful chemicals during stress. They can ignore severe pain and access incredible strength." Velrix reviewed more data. Humans who had lost arms but kept shooting. Humans who continued fighting with wounds that would disable any Korvac warrior. "Show me mental evaluations," he demanded. The psychological profiles were equally alarming. Humans displayed a complete lack of submission. Unlike other conquered species, they showed no instinct to surrender to superior force. "They have a cultural concept called death before dishonor," explained his assistant. "Many prefer dying to surrendering." In another section of the ship, Commander Rachel Blake finally spoke to her interrogator. "You want to know why you're losing? I'll tell you, you've never faced predators before." The interrogator, Agent Zor, leaned forward. "Explain." "Every species you've conquered were prey animals. They evolved to avoid conflict. We didn't. Humans are apex predators. We don't run from danger, we run toward it." Zor considered this. The human war report supported her claim. Humans charged positions that should have been avoided. They took insane risks for small gains. Back in his laboratory, Velrix made a disturbing discovery while examining human brain scans. Humans had larger prefrontal cortexes than most species, the area responsible for planning and innovation. "They can adapt faster than we can," he reported to the military council. Our weapons become obsolete before we perfect them. They reverse engineer our technology in days. The military leaders dismissed his concerns. Then came the incident with Private John Miller. Miller had been captured during a failed raid. He seemed cooperative, answering questions freely. For 2 weeks, he provided seemingly valuable intelligence. The Korvac used his information to plan an attack on a human stronghold. The attack was a massacre. The Korvac walked into a perfect ambush. Miller had fed them carefully crafted lies. Every detail was wrong. Every piece of intelligence was designed to lead them into traps. The prisoner deliberately deceived us, Zartok raged. He planned this for weeks. The human agent acted beyond our comprehension, Zor admitted. He sacrificed comfort and safety for a long-term deception. More reports flooded in. Humans were not just physically different. Their minds worked differently. They excelled at indirect warfare, deception, misdirection, creating weapons that defied logic. In Sydney, humans filled dummy tanks with explosives, fooling Korvac airstrikes. In Berlin, they used mirrors and lights to create fake soldier silhouettes at night. In Mumbai, they built radio transmitters that jammed Korvac communications using old CET. 3 months after the invasion began, deep inside an abandoned missile silo in Montana, humans gathered for a secret meeting. Lieutenant Amy Chen stood before a holographic display showing the entire solar system. Operation Phoenix is ready, she announced. We've reverse-engineered enough Korvac technology. It's time to fight back. Her team consisted of the best warriors humanity could find. Captain Daniel Rodriguez adjusted his modified plasma rifle. Sergeant Mike Johnson checked explosive charges. Private Kelly Stevens carried a backpack full of hacked alien drones. The target is here. Chen pointed at the display. The image showed a massive Korvac command ship orbiting Earth's moon. If we disable their command structure, their ground forces will be weakened. In Washington, D.C., Fleet Admiral Victoria Parker studied satellite imagery. Her office was actually a converted subway station deep underground. President Julia Martinez sat beside her. The Chinese have launched their attack in Beijing, Parker reported. The Russians hit Moscow simultaneously. Operation Phoenix has begun worldwide. Martinez nodded. And our part? Admiral Tyler Johnson will lead the space assault. General Brandon Cooper coordinates ground strikes. We've been preparing for this moment. Aboard the USN Freedom, one of the few surviving human warships, Admiral Johnson addressed his crew. 6 months ago, we fled from these bastards. Today, we hunt them. The Freedom was different now. Human engineers had bolted captured Korvac shield generators to its hull. They'd replaced destroyed weapons with alien plasma cannons. The ship had become a hybrid monster of human and Korvac technology. All ships launch Operation Phoenix Phase 1, Johnson commanded. Across Earth's orbit, modified satellites activated. These weren't ordinary communication satellites anymore. Engineers had turned them into weapon platforms. They fired electromagnetic pulses that disrupted Korvac sensors. The alien fleet was temporarily blinded. Go, go, go! Chen's team pushed into the captured Korvac transport vessel they'd stolen 3 days ago. Major Kevin Walsh operated the cloaking device. Another piece of technology the humans had reversed engineered. Cloak active, Walsh reported. We're invisible to their scanners. The transport ship slipped through the confused Korvac formations. Chen's heart pounded as enemy vessels passed within kilometers. None detected them. Docking with target in 3 minutes, announced the pilot, Commander Jeff Morrison. Back on Earth, Dr. Patrick King worked furiously in his underground laboratory in Colorado. His team had been working on something special, a virus designed to infect Korvac computer systems. Initialize upload protocol, he ordered. As soon as Chen's team accessed the command ship's mainframe, they would inject the virus. The stolen transport docked smoothly. Korvac security protocols allowed their own ships through without question. Chen's team moved swiftly through maintenance corridors they'd studied from stolen blueprints. Bridge is 2 levels up, whispered Rodriguez. Security shows 50 guards. Not for long, Chen replied. She activated her modified stun grenades, another human innovation using Korvac technology. The doors opened. Guards turned to challenge the intruders. Chen's team threw the grenades. Korvac warriors, who could shrug off regular human weapons, fell paralyzed by their own tech turned against them. On the bridge, Admiral Johnson coordinated the surface attacks. Baltimore team, you're clear to strike the shield generator. Denver team, hit their supply depot now. Human forces emerged from hiding across the globe. They attacked with weapons no one expected. In Brazil, farmers used modified crop dusters to spray alien equipment with acid. In Australia, engineers had built railguns from mining equipment. Command ship systems accessed, Chen reported from the enemy bridge. Walsh, upload the virus. Walsh connected his device. The virus, created by Dr. King, began spreading through the Korvac network. Enemy systems started failing. Navigation computers crashed. Weapons targeting became erratic. Aboard the Freedom, Johnson saw alien ship movements become uncoordinated. All ships, full assault. Their systems are down. The battle intensified. Human ships that had hidden for weeks now revealed themselves. They struck at disabled Korvac vessels with explosive momentum. Ground forces pressed their advantage. In Paris, resistance fighters overran a major Korvac outpost using captured tanks. In Cairo, humans used giant mirrors to reflect solar energy at alien landing craft, overheating their systems. The Korvac command ship tried to retreat. Chen's team had already thought of this. They had planted charges throughout the vessel during their infiltration. Detonate, Chen ordered. Explosions ripped through the command ship's engines. The massive vessel listed to one side, powerless. Colonel James Howard watched from a hidden bunker in Alaska. Korvac ground troops were receiving new orders. Confused, contradictory commands due to the virus infection. Sir, they're falling back, reported his observer. Some units are attacking each other. The virus has caused complete communication breakdown. But Operation Phoenix was just beginning. The Korvac still had superior numbers, still had stronger ships, but they had lost their technological advantage. Phase 2 begins now, announced Admiral Parker over the Global Resistance Network. We've shown them we can adapt. We've shown them we can fight. Now we show them we can win. In space, the damaged command ship sparked and drifted. Inside, Chen's team prepared for extraction, their mission complete. Behind them, alarms blared as confused aliens tried to restore control. Evac in 60 seconds, called Rodriguez. Be ready to run. As they escaped, Chen looked back at the chaos they'd created. Humans had turned Korvac pride into weakness, turned their advanced technology into a vulnerability. The predators had begun to hunt. 6 months after the invasion began, the Korvac High Council received a distress call that changed everything. Supreme Commander Korthax stood in the center of the council chamber, his 7 arms tensed with rage. The humans have destroyed 17 colonies, he announced. They've learned our hyperlane routes. They're attacking our supply lines throughout the sector. The council erupted in confused chatter. This wasn't supposed to happen. The humans were supposed to be crushed by now. Send the obliteration fleet, commanded Counselor Drex. Glass their planet, and this. Back on Earth, Admiral Christine Sullivan reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The reformed human fleet now included 50 ships, half of them rebuilt, using captured Korvac technology. They're bringing their main fleet, reported her intelligence officer, Colonel Jeff Morrison. Over 1,000 vessels. Sullivan didn't flinch. Then we'll meet them with everything we have. In underground laboratories across the globe, scientists worked on new weapons. Dr. Patrick King presented his latest invention, a shield resonator that could disable entire Korvac fleets. It works by creating harmonic feedback in their shields, he explained to General Patricia Hayes. When they group their ships together, it becomes more effective. Meanwhile, Agent Nathan Brooks had completed a 6-month mission. He'd posed as a sympathetic prisoner and gathered intelligence about Korvac. Military doctrine. His information helped human scientists predict their battle formations. The gathering battle shaped up as the largest space engagement in galactic history. The Korvac obliteration fleet entered the solar system in a massive formation, a perfect wedge designed to concentrate their firepower. Sullivan smiled when she saw their approach. They're using their standard formation. Nothing creative, just raw power. But humans had spent months preparing. They'd planted nuclear mines throughout the asteroid belt. They'd modified every satellite to carry weapons. Even communication satellites now carried railgun projectiles. All ships, remember the plan, Sullivan broadcast. Don't meet them head-on. Be water. The battle began not with direct engagement, but with psychological warfare. Humans broadcast, recordings of Korvac soldiers screaming as they died. They showed captured footage of their own ships using ramming attacks. They're trying to unnerve us, Korvac said, commanding from his flagship. Ignore their tricks, maintain formation. But the cracks had already formed. Individual Korvac captains, having faced human tactics before, felt genuine fear. When humans attacked with stealth ships using cloaking technology, some vessels broke formation without orders. Captain Daniel Rodriguez led Squadron 7 in a daring maneuver. His ships appeared to retreat, drawing Korvac vessels into a prepared ambush. Nuclear mines detonated. Modified satellites fired railgun volleys. The human ships turned and counterattacked. Colonel James Howard coordinated ground-to-space weapons. Giant electromagnetic cannons built from mining equipment and particle accelerators fired from Earth's surface. These primitive weapons pierced shields designed for space combat, not ground-based artillery. The Korvac formation began to fracture. Ships collided with debris fields. Communication systems, still infected with human viruses, gave conflicting orders. Captains who had previously faced human resistance hesitated to follow commands. Maintain the wedge, Korvac ordered, but his own warriors had learned to fear human ingenuity. Dr. King's shield resonator activated. When Korvac ships tried to reform their tightening formation, their shields created destructive interference. The harmonics tore ships apart from the inside. Impossible, shouted a Korvac engineer as he watched ships disintegrate. Their technology is inferior. How do they keep finding weak P? The Korvac council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. After their massive defeat, news arrived that shocked the Empire. Supreme Commander Korvac demanded answers. What do you mean they've taken hostages? He roared at General Yurak. We captured a human city during our retreat, Yurak explained. We took 12,000 civilians to negotiate peace terms. It seemed logical. Korvac's four eyes narrowed. The humans always negotiate for prisoners. We can use them as leverage. On Earth, President Julia Martinez received the message. Her face turned to stone as she listened to the Korvac demands. They took civilians from Detroit, she said quietly. They want us to stand down our fleet, to surrender our defense systems. Admiral Sullivan stood nearby. Madam President, we cannot let them dictate terms. But those people, I know, Martinez said. Prepare a response. Tell them we're sending a delegation to discuss prisoner exchange. And prepare Captain Nicole Turner's team. The Korvac thought they understood human priorities. They expected tears, begging, and surrender. They didn't understand they had triggered something primal in human nature. Captain Nicole Turner gathered her elite rescue team in a hidden base. Her face showed no emotion as she briefed them. 12,000 of our people are being held on. 3 Korvac ships, she said. The Korvac don't know we've identified the vessels. We strike in 6 hours. Her team included the deadliest warriors Earth could assemble. Major Stephen Powell, an expert in close-quarters combat. Lieutenant Melissa Grant, a hacker who could infiltrate any system. Corporal Brandon Mills, a demolition specialist who could disable ships from the inside. Remember, Turner warned, we're not just rescuing, we're sending a message. No one takes human civilians and lives. The operation began with deception. Earth sent an official delegation to discuss terms. While the Korvac Council debated, Turner's team used stolen cloaking technology to approach the prison ships. Ships in range, reported Grant. Their shields are down. They think they're safe. The Korvac had made a fatal error. They treated the civilian captives with casual cruelty, not realizing each act of violence would be documented and broadcasted back to Earth. Look at their confidence, observed General Zartok aboard the flagship prison ship. The humans are helpless when we hold their soft ones. At midnight Earth time, Turner's team struck. They didn't just board the ships, they demolished them. Explosives placed with surgical precision destroyed engines, weapons, and shield generators. The Korvac suddenly couldn't fight back or run. "Boarding teams, go," Turner commanded. Human warriors moved through the ships like deadly shadows. They used captured stun weapons modified to triple strength. Korvac guards fell before they could alert their command. Within 20 minutes, 3 levels were secured. Powell led squads through maintenance ducts. They emerged behind Korvac positions, striking without warning. Grant hacked into ship systems, locking down entire sections and releasing human prisoners from their cells. But Turner had planned something more terrifying than a simple rescue. As her team freed civilians, they also planted enhanced tracking devices throughout the ships. Every Korvac would carry these tracers home. The civilians, seeing their rescuers fight with such cold efficiency, both cheered and shivered. These weren't the same humans they knew. These were predators in human form. In the detention block, Turner found Korvac Commander Zarek supervising prisoner transfers. He raised his weapon, but Turner was faster. She struck him with precise blows that shattered his armor's weak points. "Why?" Zarek gasped, unable to understand such violence. "We held prisoners before. Other species always negotiated." Turner grabbed his throat. "We are not other species." By dawn, all civilians were aboard rescue ships, but the operation wasn't over. Turner's final order changed everything. Leave no Korvac alive on these vessels. The systematic elimination that followed would become legend. Human warriors methodically cleared every room, every deck, every corner. They used weapons that hadn't been part of earlier battles. Armored suits modified for zero-G combat, blades that could cut through Korvac armor, and tactics that seemed to come from a nightmare. When the last Korvac fell, Turner activated the tracers. Every Korvac ship that approached to investigate the prison vessels would be tagged. Human intelligence would know every movement, every base, every hidden facility. Across the galaxy, news spread of what happened at the prison ships. The Korvac, who had taken civilians, lost an entire battle group. Not a single survivor escaped. Every ship was a tomb. In the Korvac Empire, fear took root. They had seen human strategy, technology, and endurance. Now they saw something that frightened the entire alien council. Human ruthlessness. "They slaughtered everyone," reported an intelligence officer, his voice shaking. "They didn't take prisoners. They didn't leave wounded. They executed every warrior on those ships." Counselor Vec studied the battle recordings. "Look at their methods. Precise, calculated, no rage, just elimination." The psychological impact spread through Korvac ranks. Soldiers who had faced human guerrilla warfare, creative tactics, and desperate courage now faced a new terror. Humans who removed obstacles cleanly and completely. Messages intercepted from Korvac ships showed growing panic. They don't stop. They don't surrender. They don't show mercy. The humans have multiple faces. The ones who rescue children also execute armies. In the aftermath, Turner stood before President Martinez. Her mission was complete, but her expression remained unchanged. "The civilians are safe, Madam President," she reported, "and the Korvac have learned something important about humanity." "What lesson?" Martinez asked. "That we are not prey," Turner answered. "We are predators who protect our own." Outside, the freed civilians reunited with their families. But everyone who saw the operation recordings understood. Humanity had shown its true face to the galaxy. They could build, create, and nurture. They could also destroy absolutely. The Korvac Empire received Earth's response that night. It consisted of 2 words: never again. Throughout alien space, a new saying emerged: don't take their children. Don't take their old ones. If you must fight humans, kill cleanly, or don't fight at all. 1 year after the invasion began, Admiral Tyler Johnson commanded the final battle. The rebuilt human fleet faced what remained of the Korvac Imperial Navy above Earth's moon. Stars witnessed the end of an empire's pride. "All ships, attack formation Predator," Johnson ordered. His flagship, the USN Retribution, led the charge. The Korvac fleet had grown desperate. After losing their command structure and suffering constant defeats, they gathered for one last attempt to preserve their honor. Supreme Commander Korthax commanded from his scarred flagship. "This time we know their tricks," Korthax told his remaining officers. "No fancy formations, just raw firepower." But humans had spent a year learning too. General Ashley Williams coordinated ground defenses with deadly precision. Every piece of Korvac technology had been studied, improved, and turned into weapons. The battle began with a surprise. Human ships no longer ran or used hit-and-run tactics. They charged straight at the enemy formation. Korvac officers felt sudden confusion at this change. "They're coming right at us," reported a tactical officer. "No tactical maneuvers. They're fighting like us." Johnson smiled grimly. "Open fire with the new weapons." Beams of pure energy lanced across space. Human engineers had perfected replicas of Korvac plasma cannons and made them 20% more powerful. The first human volley destroyed 12 enemy ships. "Impossible," Korthax shouted. "Their weapons shouldn't be that strong." In the midst of battle, Commander Gregory Miller led a boarding action that would become legendary. His team didn't capture ships for salvage anymore. They captured them to turn against their fleet. Miller's Marines fought with techniques developed from studying Korvac warfare for months. They knew every weak point in alien armor. They understood every psychological trigger that caused fear in enemy troops. "Bridge secured," Miller reported as Korvac bodies filled the corridors, turning ships' weapons on their own fleet. 3 captured Korvac vessels opened fire on their allies. The shock demoralized enemy crews even more than the damage. General Williams watched from Earth as orbital platforms deployed their final secret. Years of human engineering had produced the ultimate defense, a network of satellites that created an impenetrable shield over the planet. "They can't touch Earth anymore," she reported to the Pentagon. "All they can do is die in space." On the battlefield, human ships executed maneuvers that seemed to mock Korvac tactics. When enemy vessels tried their signature wedge formation, humans formed a responding pattern that looked like a giant maw ready to devour them. They're making fun of us," whispered a Korvac captain as he watched the display. Korthax grew desperate. "Release the bioweapons. Infect their planet." But humans had planned for this too. Ambassador Claire Thompson transmitted a message that froze the alien command in place. "Use bioweapons against us and we release what our scientists made for you. Your homeworlds, your colonies, all will suffer. Test us." The Korvac research documents had been stolen during raids. Humans had indeed created virus strains specifically targeting Korvac biology. Unlike their enemies, they held such weapons in reserve as a final deterrent. Captain Sarah Martinez commanded the USN Horizon when the breakthrough CC